How far would you be willing to go to survive in a world that has taken everything from you? Welcome to this exciting summary of The Poppy War, the gripping novel by R.F. Kuang, which masterfully blends fantasy, politics, and war into an unforgettable story filled with sacrifice, ambition, and an overwhelming power that threatens to consume its protagonist. If you enjoy stories with complex protagonists, political conflicts, and a backdrop inspired by real historical events, stay with us as we dive into one of the most acclaimed fantasy sagas of recent years. Before we get into the story, let's talk about the author. Rebecca F. Kuang, born in 1996, is a Chinese-American writer who has made a powerful impact on the fantasy literature scene. With a background in Chinese history and war studies, her work is not just fantasy but also a reflection of some of humanity's darkest realities. Her debut novel, The Poppy War, was an immediate success, featuring a narrative inspired by historical events such as the Second Sino-Japanese War and the Nanjing Massacre. Kuang doesn't just tell a story of magic and war, she forces us to confront the cost of power, revenge, and the dehumanization that occurs in warfare. This book is the first in a trilogy, followed by The Dragon Republic and The Burning God, which further explore the protagonist's journey and the world of Nikan. The story follows Fong Runan, better known as Rin, a young orphan growing up in Rooster Province, the poorest region of the Nikan Empire. Raised by an adoptive family who sees her as nothing more than a tool for improving their status, Rin knows her fate is sealed. She will be forced into an arranged marriage with a much older man and will spend the rest of her life in servitude. But Rin refuses to accept this fate. Desperate to escape, she decides to prepare for the Keiju, the prestigious imperial exam that grants young people across the empire the chance to attend the most elite military academy, Sinigard. Against all odds, she not only passes but earns one of the highest scores in the nation, securing her place among the best. But victory comes at a cost. From the moment she arrives at Sinigard, Rin faces discrimination and contempt, as she comes from a poor region and lacks the aristocratic lineage of most of her peers. One of her biggest rivals at the academy is Neza, an arrogant young man from one of the most powerful families in the empire. The two develop an intense rivalry that defines much of her time at Sinigard. Despite her struggles, Rin proves to be an exceptional student. Her thirst for knowledge leads her to discover a forbidden path: shamanism. Under the guidance of the enigmatic Master Jiang, Rin learns that she can connect with the power of the gods. In particular, she is linked to the Phoenix, an entity of fire and destruction that grants her immense power, but at a terrible cost. Using shamanic magic carries the risk of losing one's mind and being consumed by the god that grants the power. Jiang constantly warns her about the dangers of this magic, but Rin is convinced that shamanism is the key to surviving in a world that despises her. Just as Rin begins to understand her abilities, the Federation of Mugen, the longtime enemy of the Nikan Empire, invades and unleashes a brutal war. Peace crumbles, and the academy is no longer a refuge. Now, Rin and her fellow students are sent to the battlefield, where they must put everything they have learned to the test. But war is far worse than they imagined. During the siege of Golan Knees, Rin witnesses one of the most horrifying massacres of the war. Civilians are brutally murdered, and the enemy's cruelty is beyond comprehension. This experience changes Rin forever, planting within her a deep hatred and an insatiable desire for vengeance. It is at this moment that she realizes the leaders of the Nikan Empire are no better than their enemies. Instead of protecting their people, they abandon them. Rin no longer knows whom to trust. Amid the chaos, Rin is recruited by the Tsika, a unit of soldiers with shamanic abilities. This group is led by Alton Trengson, a legendary warrior and the last surviving descendant of the Spearly, a people who were nearly wiped out by the Federation of Mugen. Rin sees Alton as both a mentor and a terrifying figure. His obsession with revenge against Mugen has turned him into a ruthless killer, and Rin fears she is becoming just like him. The Tsika is a peculiar group, consisting of Baji, a deadly warrior with a strong sense of loyalty; Shagan, a shaman with a mysterious spiritual connection; Ramsa, an explosives expert with a sarcastic sense of humor; Kara, a silent but lethal tracker. Under their training, Rin explores the true power of the Phoenix. But every time she uses magic, she feels like she is losing a piece of herself. As the war progresses, Rin faces an impossible decision. To defeat Mugen, she must fully unleash the power of the Phoenix, but doing so would mean obliterating entire cities, killing both enemies and innocents alike. At the climax of the story, Rin chooses destruction. She uses her power to annihilate the Federation of Mugen, wiping out millions of lives. But in doing so, she realizes she has lost her own humanity. Alton dies in battle, leaving her completely alone. Now, Rin is one of the most powerful people in the Empire, but also one of the most dangerous. With the war seemingly won, she discovers that her greatest enemy was never Mugen, but the Nikan Empire itself. The corrupt leaders want to use her as a weapon, but she refuses to be controlled. Thus begins a new war, one in which Rin will fight against the very system that has used her all her life. The Poppy War is not just a fantasy story, it is a profound reflection on the cost of power, revenge, and the dehumanization of war. Rin is a complex character whose evolution takes her from being a powerless orphan to becoming the most feared force in the Empire. If this story has captured your interest, we encourage you to read the full novel and discover all the details that make it so compelling. Additionally, this is just the first book in a trilogy, so don't miss the sequels, The Dragon Republic and The Burning God. If you enjoyed this summary, subscribe, give it a like, and comment on your favorite part of the novel. See you in the next video.